Today on JD Cars, we're installing a 10-inch CarPlay touchscreen on our Jeep Wrangler. So, our Jeep Wrangler here has had the stock head unit for our entire ownership, and we're about to sell it. I wish I had installed a touchscreen sooner, but we do have one sitting in this box here. I actually swapped out the head unit for a smaller touchscreen last week, and it was advertised to have CarPlay capabilities, but it didn't end up actually being CarPlay compatible. So I returned that unit. We got the 10-inch unit for just $60 more, I believe. The price has dropped immensely. I held off on buying a 10-inch touchscreen because the cost was like $500. I got this one for $269 on Amazon Prime, and we're gonna give it a shot today. Also, it is just a Jeep, and as much as I like creature comforts, the only real reason I'm replacing the head unit to begin with is because the stock head unit on this, I've heard from a lot of people, the aux cord just fails. You have to have it in the perfect position for the aux to work, and if it's not, you're out of luck. But I was curious how many other people had that problem. Let me know down in the comments if your aux bit the dust. Without any further ado, let's jump into the box and see what we get here. Classic Amazon move. Another big box inside of a big box. That's alright, we'll use it as a table. So to start off here, we have some of our classic aftermarket stereo accessories. We have the microphone that we plug in for hands-free calling. We have the GPS antenna that sticks onto our dash. We've also got the wiring harness adapter that adapts from our factory wiring harness to the aftermarket wiring harness. We have a CAN bus decoder inside of here. That's that little plastic box which decodes our signals from the car and allows us to use the steering wheel controls. We've also got a couple USB connectors in there that we'll use to hook up our CarPlay dongle. Now, the reason we got such a huge box for a reasonably small head unit is because we actually have to replace a large section of the dash to accommodate this new screen. First piece that we're replacing probably looks pretty familiar, but a little bit different. That's the center dash piece. This is of course where we have our climate control vents, your window switches if equipped, or just a storage cubby if you're not equipped with power windows, and the modified part, this huge frame for our 10-inch screen. But that's not it. We also receive another large dash piece. China must have finally got their costs down on the molds of these after so many people have bought them. This is the large dash piece we're replacing. This, of course, is where our instrument cluster goes, another vent, and this part has been modified to accommodate the taller, bigger screen. We do have to cut out this framing from the mold, but that shouldn't be too bad. We'll do that with some snips or a Dremel. Oh boy, a third dash piece. This little tray that goes on top of the dash has also probably been slightly modified in design to accommodate the taller screen, but nice that we don't lose the storage tray. I'm glad that they kept that. They include a Phillips head screwdriver and a pry tool, and that looks to be about it aside from the touchscreen itself. So this is from AWE Safe, Safe. This is their 10.1 inch screen, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage. Let's take a look at it. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Nice big touchscreen. Funny enough, I actually have this exact touchscreen in my BMW X3. It looks like they've taken the same central unit and adapted the frame to accommodate it. But that's good because it keeps our costs low. There is a screen protector on the screen. I'm just gonna leave that on there for now. And on the back of the unit, we have a couple of plugs. This really cool optical illusion design. I'm not sure if you can see that around the outside, but it's kind of cool. And some really big heavy heat sinks on the back to keep the thing cool. Other than that, it kind of just looks like an Android tablet. Speaking of Android, they include an Android manual here so that we can figure things out hopefully, and also some really small Phillips head screws that we're going to secure this unit into the dash with. Alright, so we'll start off by getting rid of the little frame in our instrument cluster here. I'm going to be using a little cutoff wheel to get rid of that. So that cutoff disc and a little bit of filing Took that right away. Looks great. Took a few minutes. Not a big deal. Now hopping into the Jeep, I'm going to dismantle the dash here. You may notice I have a gaping hole where my stereo should be. Don't fear, I will show you exactly how to remove it and how to remove your stock stereo. Let's start off with some plastic pry tools. So to begin, we'll want to remove this little dash piece under our steering wheel with a plastic pry tool. Just come in at the gap, and that popped off way too easily. But this little piece underneath your steering wheel is secured with 4 clips. Here, 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 and here. And then it has 2 hinges at the bottom. So just try to release these top clips. It'll hinge out, and you saw it popped out very easily. With that out of the way, we'll lower our steering wheel, lock it into place all the way down. Now using our plastic pry tool again, we'll pry around the edge of this dash piece. It's all one piece, and show you how easy it is here. Come in at the bottom corner, pop that out, run our tool carefully up along the top, and from here you can really just do it by hand. Just pull straight back on the entire piece and it'll pop right out. So we'll pull this whole thing out. I do believe we're gonna have to transfer over our air vents, but we'll worry about that in just a second. I didn't mention this while this dash piece was still in, but I figure it's easier to show you now. There are 4 screws holding it in. There's 1 tab here, 1 tab here, 1 tab just inside of your little storage cubby or where your window switches are, which can be popped out easily with a plastic pry tool. Pull up the tray up here, and that's where your last screw is. These 2 screws will be tucked away just under the steering wheel here. So we'll pull this out, which will then reveal your stock head unit, which is held in by 4 7mm screws. All of the screws are 7mm, which makes things really easy. We'll remove those 4 7mm, and your factory head unit will have 2 connections. The one big harness connection and your antenna. Both are quick release press tab to release the connector. At that point, you can pull out your stock head unit and we can begin installing our new 10-inch touchscreen. I do think the logical next step is to replace our dash unit here, because from the looks of the tabs on it, this piece needs to be installed before the centerpiece, because the centerpiece clips into that. So I'm gonna grab our old dash piece, our stock dash piece, and we'll pull out the air vents to transfer over to our new unit. As with most things on the Jeep, it's extremely easy to remove these vents. It's actually just one little press tab. I'll show you right here. It's just this little tab right here. We press in on it, and the whole unit will then be able to twist to the right and pop right out. And we'll bring this over to our new trim piece and install it just as we removed it. Now, in addition to transferring over our vent, we're going to have to transfer over a couple of these clips that secure the dash piece into the dash. That's these little metal clips right here. We're going to pop them off using a little plastic pry tool. Careful not to damage them. They are pretty fragile, but we'll pull these off. Oh, they are plastic. We'll pull each of these off, bring them over to our new dash piece, and simply press them on. They clip into place, and that will secure it into the dash. While we're here, I would like to also note that on the stock dash piece, we're gonna have to pull off several of these little white plastic clips on the center part and transfer them over to our new center dash piece onto these tabs. With the vent and the clips installed on our new instrument cluster dash piece, we can bring it into place, line it up, and try to get these clips into place before we go to the screws. Okay, once we have it clipped into place, we can take our 2 7mm screws that we originally had and our 7mm, screw this piece in. Now, to prep our center unit to go in, we have to install our screen and our vents. So, take our new touchscreen. I'm going to lay down this little plastic bag here on the creeper to protect the screen. We'll take the screen and drop it into the center dash piece. That fitment is really good. That looks awesome. Anyways, while holding the screen in here carefully, we'll flip it over onto its face. We'll grab the included Phillips head screws, these little tiny ones, and using a Phillips head screwdriver, the head unit into place. Do be careful not to over tighten these because it's plastic, so you don't want to strip it. Strangely enough, only 4 of the holes actually have threads to screw in, but I suppose 4 screws is enough to hold the screen in. Doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. So we now have the screen installed in the center piece. We'll grab our 2 vents and take note of the Jeep logo, insert it just left of center, and then, as we did earlier, twist to the right, and it'll lock right into place. All right, so we've got our touchscreen center unit all ready to go. It's screwed in, we have our vents, but thinking ahead for our CarPlay adapter and the USB, I did want to think about this because it's a pretty short cable and it's limited where we can put it. We can go to the glove box. That's not exactly ideal because we'll have a wire hanging out. Can't make it all the way to the center console. That would be pretty ideal if you could put it in here because there is a little notch, but why not make our own notch? So that's exactly what I did. Took a round file and just filed in a little notch right here for our cable, and as you can see, I've taken a yardstick and fished it down through here because it's far too tight of a gap to get my fingers in there. So I fished the wire down. We'll tape our cable to this and pull it right up through. Ba-bam. Love that. This came out beautifully. This panel snapped right back into place. It didn't have any resistance, so we did a good job filing. I left about, I don't know, 10 inches here, and that can just be tucked into this little storage area right down below if we want to hide that wire. And we can actually house the CarPlay adapter right down there as well. Don't really use this storage for much of anything, and I think the adapter will tuck down in there nicely. Alright, so I've just run our microphone across the top of the dash and I tucked it just behind the speaker here. Now I'm going to do something similar with the GPS. I'm just going to pull off the adhesive backing and we're going to plop this right up on the dashboard, run the wire down into our compartment here. Now we'll plug in our antenna adapter, so this black end plugs into the white end of the stock antenna connection, and at this point we're ready to just start hooking things up. So with our harnesses plugged into the back of the head unit like so, we can start plugging things in. I like to start with the longer cables, so our GPS will screw in right here. Our microphone will plug in to the black connection. Working on a backup camera, but we'll ignore that for now. Plug in the USB, plug in our antenna, and last but not least, the main harness will plug in just like so. Oh, forgot I had the car on. Thing's booting up. Try to get this pressed into place here. This side might actually need some filing. Alright, so I didn't even bother filing it. I just did it sitting in the driver's seat with these little clips. Clipped off the nubs on this side. I think those clips on both sides for European models with right-hand drive so that they don't have to make 2 of these frames. So just trim that off. It fits really nicely, honestly, for just snipping those off. It's a very nice, clean fit, and popped it right into place. Now we don't have 4 screws to reinstall, we just have 2. The first being right here, inside where your window switch would be, and the one up top. But we have to grab our tray for that. So with our new tray here, we have to install 2 little tabs. We'll bring it up top, and it looks like I was supposed to do this before. Whoops. Pull this out. I think I can slip it in here. Same situation on the top piece. I think we have to trim this little piece right here. With a little bit of snipping on the passenger side of this piece. Should slip right in here. Yeah, fits nicely. Alright, there we go. It actually matches up pretty well. I would give it maybe an 8.5. Honestly, solid 8.5. They got the lines pretty good. And now we just have to reinstall this 1.7mm up top. And that's it. Put our little cubby back into place, or your window switch, and the little tray up top. Boom. I think this actually got a little bit deeper. It's nice. And I really like the fit of this. Alright, so it's a few days later now. I got pretty burnt out at about 3 in the morning there trying to get everything set up. But I've had a few days to test out this head unit, and I have to say I love it. I was able to change the boot logo to the actual Jeep logo. All you have to do is go into settings, go up to car infotainment, common, and boot logo. And I believe the password is 5678. Yep. If you log in there, loads up this screen here, and you can scroll through a bunch of different automakers. I'm happy I could change the boot logo. Nice little subtle touch to make it feel a little bit more OEM. This Android home screen here, it gets the job done. It's pretty basic, just a simple Android operating system. We do have Google Maps, Spotify, Chrome, etc. preloaded up on here, the Play Store of course. And if you saw our previous video with the smaller touchscreen, you'll know that the whole reason I purchased this bigger screen was to get CarPlay to work. And I'm very happy to say that the off-safe CarPlay dongle here works perfectly. As you saw, I ran the cable right down here to this pocket where the adapter sits nice and tucked away, and then I just have the cable running out to the driver. And I used the same exact dongle on my X3 to get CarPlay to work, but it was a very lengthy and painful installation process. I don't know if it's because I just couldn't find the proper link to the actual download, but I was able to get this CarPlay system working in a matter of 5-10 minutes. I'll be sure to link the proper APK download down below. That's what the file is called. It's an APK file. So all you'll do is go into Chrome, and if I have it here, I'm not connected to the internet, but you go to Chrome, and however you want to get the link to this unit, whether you want to hook up your email and email yourself the link, or just type it directly into the browser, that might be a little bit easier. Type in that link and the APK will automatically download for the AutoKit CarPlay adapter. It'll download, and when it's finished downloading, it'll prompt you to either dismiss or open that download. You can click open on the download right away, and it'll install. And what that does is it installs this AutoKit application here. If I open it up, you can see this is the host to our CarPlay. It does have the option for wireless CarPlay if you purchase a wireless dongle, and it also has in the middle here prompting for you to plug in the adapter. So once you plug in the adapter, you get this little green text over here, and then it asks you to connect your phone, which I'll demonstrate right now. Plug in our iPhone, and it takes maybe 10 seconds for it to connect. It'll pinwheel and load up the CarPlay home screen here, which is obviously really attractive. Everyone loves the look of this. We have maps, we have Apple Music, messages, the phone, podcasts, news, and all of our Apple apps that are compatible with CarPlay. So I have Spotify, Waze, apparently the Dunkin' app. I don't know if anyone really uses Dunkin' from their CarPlay. Let me know down below. But yeah, it's a good system. I've mostly been using the Spotify function, which is really nice. It gives you a view of your home screen, your recently played. You can browse, and you can go through all your playlists, of course. And then this is the screen I typically leave it on, the currently playing screen that shows the song title, artist, and the album cover. It's all nice big buttons, and it's a pretty crispy display. I was actually able to see this screen without the top on or the doors on a very bright, so I'm definitely impressed with the screen brightness. And it does have night mode, so it'll automatically detect when it's dark out, and it'll lower the brightness. That's also something you can adjust in settings. You can adjust how dim you want it to turn when it gets dark out. Volume control right here is plenty easy to use. The steering wheel volume control still works, along with the skip song button. So that was sweet. The Bluetooth also works well if you don't want to go the CarPlay route. The Bluetooth music option, it does work quite well. The one and only complaint I had is I couldn't get my backup camera working properly. I tried all the different harnesses. I tried hooking up the signal wire from the camera to the reverse camera harness, but I couldn't get it to signal when I put the car in reverse. It just wouldn't turn on at all. So what I did instead, I plugged into the AV in video cable, and if I open this up, it'll say no signal. But once I put it in reverse and my camera is powered, The reverse screen turns on here, so that wasn't really a big deal. It's not like I'm using the backup camera that much. Aside from that, it's a pretty responsive screen. It doesn't really lag too much at all, especially for the price. Very responsive and does everything that I need it to. So I really can't complain at all, especially for $269 on Prime. I was very impressed. The fitment is good. I would give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. There's a few spots that the lines aren't exactly perfect, but I'm happy with it. And friends of mine who aren't in a Jeep every day didn't really even notice the fitment around the edge. They said it looked great. And everyone always seems to ask about sound quality on these aftermarket head units. I personally didn't notice a tremendous difference. I did go into the settings and I went to sound, and there's a whole sound settings screen that I haven't even fully explored, but you can play around with bass, of course the balance. You can drag this dot to any corner of the car that needs more sound. Delay, I don't really know what delay does. I'm not going to mess with that. Loudness, I haven't really played with. Filter, I haven't played with at all, but that looks crazy. I did play with the equalizer a little bit. I have it on the pop setting, which seems to be pretty good for pop music, and also sounds pretty good with rock. And last but not least, it does have a standby feature, so you can set a standby time between 0 minutes and an hour. I have it set to 30 minutes right now, so that means if I run to the store, if I run to the hardware store and I run in for 20 minutes, I'm in there finding some parts and checking out. If I come back out to the car after having removed the key and shutting off the unit, I can just put the key back in, and the unit will immediately turn back on instead of waiting through the about 1 minute boot up that takes when it's fully turned off. So after 30 minutes it will fully turn off to not kill the battery. So that is a pretty cool feature. But yeah, that's really about it. I think this is definitely a good deal for the money. It does everything I need it to, and I haven't had any problems yet, so I can't complain. I think that's going to wrap up this video though. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please go leave a like down below. Leave any questions you might have down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on JD Cars.